some new equipment or with some extra training to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe some ice pads to cool down their hands afterwards, to be honest, with some of the plays that are coming through. But beautiful bit of coverage there, allowing the members of Oxxgen to slowly make their way to where they need to be. It looks like they've gone for a little bit of a cheeky rotate situation. It looks like they're probably uncontested going to grab A control. The spike's presumably going to go down very, very quickly. Bit of a showdown there, going through trades here, there, and everywhere. 2Ks here, 2Ks there.
Oxygen coming off the worst win though. Retha, while they make the plant, they're going to have to now win a series of duels, which of course isn't ideal. The 2 versus 3 with both of the Oxygen members still alive on the site. Even trade across, which is fine for Exet. Petra will be able to get a little bit of extra intelligence while Retha turns it into a Sova duel. Retha is down to only 17 health. A single shot's going to do it! And Exet will get themselves the first round and first defuse.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Petra showing up yet again, clutching that out and getting the retake. Petra showing up in map number 1, to be honest. So again, one to watch going into this map for sure, because I think she's more than warmed up and willing to put in the work for her team now. I mean, it's interesting, really, isn't it? Because again, it's very by the book, and it's still showing that there are these moments where the teams are guessing one thing and then the polar opposite is happening. But I do like the fact that Oxygen are currently stacking for what looks like a full B rush. Oh wait, no, it's not quite a full B rush. Never mind, I do beg your pardon. Zizo is going to start this by getting the opening pick onto Reefer, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic to have that slowing orb there to really put the ice onto their play. Oxygen, they've taken a lot of damage in the early going. Petra will hold the line with Giuliano. Oxygen are getting ripped apart here. Ness does at least get one back on the Phoenix, not on the Reyna from before, to have that heal. Does have flexibility. There's Giuliano cleaning up, though. Very nice second round win for Exet.
Absolutely, and you know, so far it's so clean coming from them. And I don't think it's necessarily that they're you know, reacting you know, with massive haste to anything Oxygen are doing. I just think that they're setting themselves up in a really good way where that setup around site can't actually happen properly.
Oxygen this time round, they're going to try and make their push in on A and B simultaneously, trying to find some weakness in the Exet defense. So far, though, we've seen Exet be pretty aggressive in their defense. They don't back down at all. Nice escape from Giuliano after taking Rainsa out of commission. Exet, they're going to need to get that spike up and moving again. They have to be a little... sorry, Oxygen needs to be worried about Exet coming around the back of them if they're not careful.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, I really do appreciate the fact that you get that opening pick and you immediately pull back. You don't get greedy with it. Because again, it certainly rustles the feathers, especially when you're taking the Sage off the board as well. That is significant utility taken away.
Yeah, no wall, no heals. No second chances here for Oxygen as Giuliano just walks around, makes it look like nothing, grabs hold of the weaponry, manages, no, not quite to get out in time. As Oxygen looks to fight back, it's 3 versus 3, there's no heal. And Oxygen, they're taking a lot of damage, Nariel drops down. It's going to be close.
Close indeed, you know, 2v3 and the plant is down as well. There's a lot that Oxygen need to do to try and pull this. It looks like Zizo is going for a little bit of a rotate too to try and get to a better positioning and, you know, potentially get a bit of a higher angle there.
One enemy remaining. Kill onto Petra, but getting it taken out in return. The res is good. The defuse is going through as Mimi holds the line, but Ness still gets the kill. They might get the second as well. For Zizo, they have to make the decision here. They know that time is being wasted. I think they're actually just going to abandon ship.
Clutch.
I mean,
That
yeah.
was good save from Ness.
Careful now.
It looked like a done deal, but ultimately, Ness did enough to make it impossible to get the defuse.
I
Need a
am
drop.
how do I explain it? I feel like there's this map so far feels like both teams are being a little bit too safe.
Okay.
Because I feel like we're seeing, and again, not so much in the late round, just in the early round really, and then I think the late round everyone's being brilliant. I think we're seeing some really good, flanks coming through. We're seeing people reposition themselves. I'm seeing people reposition themselves to use specific utility, but it's the early parts. So I think again, people are being way too cautious. And for defenders, that definitely works well. Like look here, Zizo getting that opening pick, and again pulling back slightly, like we previously saw Giuliano do. And I think that's absolutely what you need to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's worked incredibly well for Xset to get the kill and get out clean. It's really nice play. And they've suddenly done that again here. So Oxygen, they are poised on the B site. They've been successfully pushed away by Zizo Tizo for the time being. And it seems like Xset are ready for Oxygen to try and break away from the point.
Seeing a bit of a cheeky pre-fire through the wall there. As that intel comes through.
Keep yourself an Odin. That's what you need. Petra walks in. Oh my gosh. I thought we were in line for another Petra left. Incredible mid defense, but it's just the one to kill this time round. As Xset, it's actually going to come down to a very close round here. You see, Giuliano needs to be careful. Nariel is hiding. We saw this before early on in the tournament. How dangerous this spot can be.
Absolutely, and well, there we go. Nariel shut down almost immediately by Giuliano, and it's a 2v2 situation. A lot to go. I think they can assume safely that they are back in dirt here, so this could get dangerous very quickly depending on what the utility Xset have.
One enemy remaining.
Nice use of the wall there. Retha drops down, but we've still got Ness into play. They're gonna have to come out sooner or later. Or do they? No! Giuliano! It's another clutch from Ness!
Yeah, that was a real nice shot. I was slightly considered. I was like, maybe don't peek, maybe hold the angle. But no, obviously, I guess if you're gonna win those, you're gonna win those.
So, 2 rounds in a row. Ness comes through huge for the team. They haven't caught up on the raw killing power of Giuliano as of yet, but that could change easily in this round as Oxygen are now are in control against an Xset team who can only afford to bring pistols to this next round.
And again, I'm curious as to, the thought process about, oh, well, there we go. Ness taking the gun to Zizo, but I was just thinking, like, to try and force that push there through Fish, it feels a little bit risky biscuits, especially when you know there's a Sage there who could, well, obviously Zizo died, but previously it was kind of this idea of, the wall could immediately come up potentially.
It does feel a little bit like Xset's strategies, while they've worked very well in the early going, maybe falling off in efficacy as this game goes on. Oxygen have got the advantage right now. They've got the Sage, whereas Xset do not, and it's seeming like we're going to be seeing Oxygen cleaning this one up. Not quite a clean sheet, though, because Mimi does some very nice work. We'll be able to look for another, and manages it almost! Salvages the round, but spectacular play from them nonetheless.
Absolutely. But again, I think the thing is with this map especially is that there is, to attack it, in my opinion, is super difficult because you have these pivotal choke points, and again, I'd say if you are going to do a 5-stack rush, it probably is harder on this map because of that, because
Don't overthink it. That's
you can often come across as an instant shutdown for that push. And again, you've got one dimension that you need to get to, and to actually be able to set up properly for an execute, ideally you need, well, I say 2, but like 1.5, if that makes sense, I guess, where, there's some flexibility there. So if it doesn't go to plan on that initial, that initial way into the site, at least you've got something as backup. But it's so much harder on this map. So much harder.
Oxygen do manage to sneak on to the A site, so that's a big win for them. We have Juliana coming in with the firepower, the operator from up on high. But let's see, with both sides dropping killjoys on the site, the plant has already been made.
Yeah, I see a cheeky Sova ult come through there from Oxygen as well, which doesn't quite land on anyone. But, well, Rain is actually going to land on two of the players of Xset, getting little picks here and there and everywhere. It's now a 3v5 situation. So this is going to be a little bit tricky for the retake. All they have to do is set up and maybe, you know, use some of the utility they have left in pocket to try and do that. But I don't actually think there's any utility left. And, well, Ness is going to get the pick onto Petra, get a second one to Giuliano, and there we go, Counterfeit. A flawless round for Oxxgen Esports.
Wow, punch right in the bank balance. That's a huge loss for Xset there. They dropped themselves an operator. They dropped themselves, I believe, a full hand of weaponry. So they're back to working with just the minimum again. Don't even have enough to bring armor, even light armor, for most of their members.
Yeah, getting a little bit. It is one of those things where it does become a little bit risky biscuits, but I mean, you know, there's still a lot that can be done, and I think I don't want to, you know, call anything too soon, especially after how the last map went. But you know, these last two rounds, Oxygen have just, at what seems a very difficult start for them, they just get in and they make it work.
Xset, you know, this is now a 4-round winning streak for Oxygen. This might about to change as Ness takes a ton of damage from the Killjoy in the early going. The plant, I think, is still going to be good. The Mimi is hacking their way into the site. There's 5 versus 2. Oxygen's weapons ready for grabbing. Xset hoping to turn this game back around.
Stay down.
And there we go, evening after 2v2. Petra's gonna get the pick onto Rain though, so it's all left down to Ness here on the Phoenix. We have seen that she is, well, okay, never mind, she's gonna get shut down by Zizo as Petra goes for the defuse. So that is Xset getting a 3rd round and clawing their way back to even Stevens in this map.
As we're talking about, while Xset didn't maybe survive with as many members as they would have liked to grab hold of as much equipment from Oxygen, they did at least manage to grab a bit. So Oxygen's spending out here again to get a hand of Vandals. It's 5 on each side, just all about the raw firepower.
Absolutely, and I do think that this is kind of one of those situations where it's like, we saw how map number 1 went, and it was so close in the end, genuinely so close. And even now, look how close it is. And we're not even really like past that halfway point yet. So
Joke's over. You're dead.
It's a little bit terrifying, really, in terms of, you know, have mercy on whoever either of these teams come up against next, to be honest.
Oh, for sure. You know, as we were talking about before, these are 2 teams with their eyes on the finals, so they're definitely playing at that top level. For Xset, they have taken a lot of damage on the way in, but no one's dropped as of yet. Felipe gonna be on the move, runs right in to Crazy, who grabs the double. Xset could draw even in this round if they can finish the job.
Absolutely, and you know, Mimi getting a 2k there to clean up, and Ness is going to trade it back before getting shut down by Zizo, and there we go, Zizo wiggling happily in celebration with her team. Evened it up, 4-4.
Hey, it's what we came here for. Some top quality Valorant between some amazing teams who, yeah, I mean, last time round, which is just as you said, we went all the way to the very end before it was finally decided. It does not seem like anything has changed this time round.
Absolutely not. And you know, I think my main curiosity here is again this idea of if you're going in on the attack, how much kind of leeway that will give you when you actually move onto the defense, because again, I think you know, 9 times out of 10 a majority of the maps are defender sided. They are set up to be so defender sided. So it's kind of this idea of, yes, they're very even, but do Oxygen have the slight advantage because of that? You know, if they even this out, so they're going into the second half on an even scoreline and they have the advantage, will they just clutch it out towards the end? That is the question I always end up thinking. And to be honest, if it was any other teams, I'd probably have a more definite answer as to how I think that would go. But with these two, I think that they're just going to keep slogging it at each other in a very straightforward and very, very professional way. Very professional way. I'm excited to see what happens, and I think whatever happens, it's going to be the best team will win. But both of these teams have been absolutely nuts.
So, drawn 4 apiece for Oxygen. Looking like they're going to progress onto the B point. We've seen how difficult it can be, just as you said, defending the approach to B. Can it be a one-person job? As actually, it's a fake out. We've seen this from Oxygen on the previous map. They're now backing away with their eyes perhaps towards breaking up through mid, like they did right back at the beginning.
Yeah, I think they're being patient with it. They're kind of thinking like, okay, what can we work with? What's kind of left on site here? What opening picks can we get? They have, you know, Spike's kind of left away for a bit. So they're not really setting up for the execute yet. They just wanted to get that opening pick and then make their decision about where they're going to push to. So here we go. We're going to see them collect that Spike. And it looks like they're going for that long rotate to B.
Ness is taken out of commission. That's a huge takedown to bring the numbers even back for Oxygen, who perhaps now have got the pressure put down. Giuliano takes out Rainsa. It's starting to fall apart a little bit for Oxygen. They're still pressing in towards the B site. Petra, once more the guardian of the entry point. As Mimi gets another kill for Oxygen. This is quickly turning into a disaster.
That was a very, very clean cleanup from Exet there. A clean cleanup?
That's the best kind of cleanup. I mean, well, after all of that said and done, you know, we've got Mimi and Giuliano both on 11 kills apiece. 3 ultimates in hand for Exet and minimal equipment for Oxygen. This could be Exet leaping far ahead to get as many rounds as they can while they are on the defending side.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they should be utilizing every single piece of Arsenal in their kit, to be honest, to do so. So as I say, it's going to get a lot trickier when they do move on to their attack, and I don't think Oxygen are going to take any prisoners, especially when, you know, this is a smaller map. There is less room to work with, and as I say, these choke points, they can be so damaging to the attack. So yeah, I think Exet needs to get as many rounds in now as possible, absolutely.
So, Oxygen, they are holding on the B site again. Yeah, we're kind of curious to see if we would see some shenanigans, especially considering that both teams have got the omens to be able to make those map-wide movements. Nariel drops down, though, and the attack on A evaporates. However, that's not where the final attack's going to land.
No, you know, Oxygen now have complete B control, and even more so as Zizo falls there to Rainsa. Rainsa's also going to hold this very tight choking point here. Petra, however, ulting, but... Oh my god, that... Ow! Ow! They were so open! No!
Hunter's Fury to the face isn't enough to put Rainsa down. We're down to 3 versus 2. Giuliano needs to clutch the round, but can't find the shots. Does get across, walks through the fire and flames, but the ult is there for the Phoenix. It's Ness versus Giuliano. 2 big carries, but Ness is the better this round.
Ness with the cheeky flash and peek, we do love to see it. Evening this up again, 5-5. We could end up on a perfect 6-6 half.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I think these teams are very much worthy of such a performance. The notable, looking at this, you know, we've got Mimi and Giuliano, 12 kills apiece. For Oxxgen Esports, we may have an even game, but we've got a much more Ness-centric performance for Oxygen than we've got a single carry for Exet.
Ness-centric, I like that.
It's a term!
I mean, you know, Ness absolutely popped off last map, you know, ending on 24 kills. It is no surprise at all to see her absolutely pop off now as well. And I don't know, like it terrifies me so much sometimes, like the ability of these players. Like again, it is just like, oh my god, you're just all built different so much. Like it just makes me want to like pop my head off and roll it down the pavement. Out of just pure awe. I'm just like, I can't. My brain can't handle it. I'm like, teach me, god damn. But I love this slight overextension Zizo is doing, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. If you're going to get aggressive and you are going to overextend, absolutely do that on the defense, because the attackers, they have their step A, B, C where they want to come from. And ooh, gliding across the ice wall. No, but she's shut down by Reaper. So close, but no cigar. That could have been so insane if she managed to pull that off.
It was a bold maneuver, but it's allowed Oxygen onto the point. Now, Ness does get taken out of commission, but it's still 3 versus 5. Now looking for a retake. Exit again get outmaneuvered despite being in a good position right now. They've still got a tough job ahead of them.
Absolutely. I think we saw some patient there from Giuliano where they were like, I'm not going to try and push into this cover at all. I'm going to wait for a bit and maybe bait them into a false sense of security. So we'll see how that ends up going. It goes like that, apparently.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's so frustrating when the one player between everyone but Mimi comes through. Almost gets freaked out by their teammates trying to kill him there. Round the corner, Nariel saves the round. That felt like that was almost guaranteed.
Last round before the switch.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'd say as soon as that spike goes down and you're in the retake situation, it is so much more difficult. But except that it looked like they were pulling it back slowly but surely, and it just kind of fell apart a little bit. But again, would not be surprised if Exet now get this, you know, 12th round in their favor, because again, I am just expecting this to be so evened up going into the second half. And I think even if it does end on like a 5-7, that's still insane. But again, I am concerned about how Oxygen will defend and if they'll just glide to victory way easier, especially given that you can just throw utility on those 2 choke points and just sit back, basically.
I mean, we've been seeing tons of that from the teams in this game.
Absolutely.
You know, just on this map, you know, it just completely changes the nature of the map when you suddenly can't see through a significant portion of the map. And see here from Oxygen, when you've got that informational advantage where the other team doesn't know what you're doing, you can make the all-in play.
I mean, you know, a little bit of intel utility being thrown out there as well from the attackers. So it is curious to see how this is going to set up. I mean, it's a standstill. It's a bit of a standoff. We are seeing this rotation coming through where the spike is being carried away. Or is it the old bait and switch? I'm concerned here. It seems like Oxygen, they've had about 3 different decisions in the space for about 10 seconds.
30 seconds left.
Double kill Joy coming out just to make sure we've got no visitors, but the A site is not getting the attention it needs from Exet as they come charging in. Petra and Crazy get 2 kills. Ness is still up and fighting, though we know they're the most crucial part of any offensive push. Time is running out. The plant is made in time. We're down to 4 versus 4.
Yep, and it is a post plant, and these are the moments where it does get a little bit trickier for the defense, but they've already cleared off one of the members of Oxygen, and again, it's a 4-4 even split here in terms of who is available to be in this fight. And again, we're seeing that even trade come through. Felipe getting the pick, but getting traded out almost immediately, and the defuse is coming down. That we're going to see a lot of utility get used here by Oxygen as well. But is it enough? I think it may not be. Giuliano has to go for the defuse now because they're left very, very, very exposed here.
Oh no! Wow! What incredible timing there. Nariel did not see that coming at all, but the time had already run out. So it will not be even heading into the second half. Oxxgen Esports, with 1 game in hand, need only to win this map, and then they will be headed straight to the semi-finals, looking for revenge on our previous tournament champions.
Absolutely, and I think again, I just want to highlight that obviously, yeah, Oxygen they've won this tournament before. They won in April, and you know, both these teams were out in the quarters last time, but they made it to the quarters last time. And only one team can go through now, but I think this is just showing the kind of increase in competition within the Huntress trials, and that is only ever a good thing. Like, you don't want to be like, oh no, it's getting harder, I'm not having fun anymore. It's like, no, we're getting these absolute death stacks come in. It's what we want to see. We want the competitive, you know, Valorant women's scene to get absolutely disgusting, and it is getting disgusting, and these matches are getting so close, and I'm completely here for it. Pour it into my eyeballs, please.
Yeah, I mean, they've been giving us some truly fantastic stuff so far, as we've got Exet now switching across to the offensive side. We had some worries about them. They come in with the disadvantage. They come in the disadvantaged situation, but it seems like Exet perhaps are going to look to try and turn things around. As we got the even trade early on, Giuliano gets a nice couple of hits in. Ness is still up.
Indeed, and Petra's going to take the pick onto Rain as well. They do still have to set up for the execute, and it is, you know, 30 seconds on the clock. They do start having to make that push, but, well, this defense is nowhere to be seen as the members of Exet are easily gliding into sight, throwing their utility down. The spike presumably will go down now with ease, and then it is a retake situation.
Yeah, we saw how well this favored the new defenders. Exet, now that they've got the site to themselves, they've got the numbers advantage. This would be an absolute miracle if Oxygen were able to pull this off. It seems like maybe Oxygen's going to hold out and maybe wait for Exet to take a step too far forwards.
Absolutely, intel being pinged there, and flashes coming through here by the defenders trying to get picks onto the attackers. Rena's going to get one, but ultimately will be shut down by Petra with the cheeky 2k towards the end there, ultimately. But ending that round with 3 kills under her pocket.
Yeah, very nicely done. So we're back to this. Well, I guess we were somewhat in the same situation we were before, where Giuliano for Exet looked like they might break away in the same way that Ness has, but it's just Oxygen who are relying so very heavily on their major carry player of Ness. It's Giuliano and Mimi for Exet who can both get the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. They're really showing up this time. And, I mean, this is what you want to see, really. The thing here that's concerning me is, okay, yeah, you've got the Phoenix holding here, but again, I think maybe what may be better there is having someone with a bit more of a block ability. Like a sturdy block, like a Sage with the ice wall, instead of just like, here's some fire. But, well, there we go. Giuliano is going to take that pick onto Ness, and that's leaving B completely exposed if Exet wants to take it, which it doesn't look like they are for some reason.
Charging instead up mid into Felipa, who is going to have that dark cover and also be slowed as well, looking at the paranoia. But it's looking like Exet are managing to take control of this round. The mid is heavily defended from Oxygen as Giuliano round the corner takes out Felipa. Rita is waiting in mid. I get the kill back.
Enemy remaining.
I mean, again, we're in a situation where the clock is ticking down, but Verone won't be X, so it's kind of... I don't think Exet are too worried about this, but they've taken so much time that the main concern for me now is if they do make a sloppy mistake and line up for Nariel, which they almost did just now. But no, that plan needs to go down ASAP before any mistakes can happen. And there we go, Petra is actually going to swing out and finish this off. I think, again, this is another case of slow and steady wins the race. They're not immediately getting stuck in. They're not forcing objective anytime soon. They're really being patient with it. They're working out, you know, where they want that final push to come from. And they're trying a little bit of everything. They're dipping their toe in here and there to each side and kind of being like, okay, Can we get a few opening picks? Can we burn out some of that utility first as well?
Here.
He's working out for them, to be honest.
Here.
Well, so our concerns about
Revealing
Xset's
area.
offensive push seem to be unfounded so far, as they've managed to successfully draw things back even again. Rainsa making sure that door does not close on the A site. You can see that Oxygen, they've made, or they've committed most of their resources across to B, but Xset, maybe anticipate the A site being more heavily defended than it is, seem to be pulling away.
Yeah, and the irony now would be if Oxygen decides to pull away from B, thinking that because I would just sigh. But no, it seems like they're sticking there and they're very much willing and waiting for that push to come through onto B. As I say that,
Placing
the
swarm
Cypher's
grenade.
obviously going to push away. Of course they are. As soon as I say it, sod law.
Well, I guess, yeah, so Crazy has gone down, so that Omen maneuverability will not come in clutch. Oh my lord, Oxxgen Esports, they're ripping through, but Tizo does salvage the play. It's now down to a 1v1 on the site. Felipe is waiting just round the corner, and no, just manages to
30
miss the
seconds
shot
left.
there. Good escape and evade, but the plant, I don't think it can happen yet.
No, not quite, and you've got to wait for Mimi to try and get on site as well for a bit of a backup, because this is very risky
Player
biscuits to
standing.
be alone on site and actually going
What?
to try and stick the plant. The plant has indeed gone down, and it's all left down to Reetha now to try and go for this retake. Not ideal.
And Mimi getting the double there is
Standing ahead.
absolutely massive as Reetha continues to get aggressive, but Mimi actually finishes off the job. Xset take the lead.
Yeah, and it's again, this is getting so close, and I think every single prediction I've made just has gone out the window a little bit here, because every time, Xset, they're very much not struggling on their attack at all. And a lot of that is, I guess, coming down to the fact that they're willing to be patient, and Oxygen are kind of, I wouldn't say they're making mistakes, but they're definitely slipping up in parts where it's like, you could just be a bit more passive here. Again, it was just, or like, again, being a bit more aggressive where it needs to be. There was one player on site with one kind of slowly making their way up, and there were enough players at that point for a pinch to come through, and it didn't quite happen. And I do appreciate the fact that obviously the intel had to come through to let them know that stage was planting, but it's just a little too late there.
Ooh, it's been very narrow though, as again, for any of you guys who are coming to this one late, Oxxgen Esports and Xset here in the quarterfinals. Oxygen with one game already completed, but it was ridiculously close in that first game, so very good possibility of seeing us go to game 3, especially if Xset keep this up.
Absolutely, so many of these opening picks are going in the favor of Xset right now on their attack, and it's just becoming a lot more fluid, and they're still lurking around mid, and at this point I'm not really that worried, because we've seen so many times that last 30 seconds is when they'll decide to go for the setup and execute. They can just, as I say, do a little bit of base check intel half the time.
Yes, that's a very dangerous way to be able to find out, oh yes, I know, but the fact that I'm dead, that's what the
One
enemy are.
enemy remaining.
Certainly, there we go. It's all left down to Reetha. They're going to get the opening pick there onto Giuliano to start off this 1vx situation.
Spike
They're
planted.
3 more to get, and the spike has just gone down, Counterfeit.
It's a lot to ask from one player with a sheriff, but maybe they can salvage something a little bit more substantial. There were 2 Xset members who dropped down. Tizo there is there to make sure there's no kind of shenanigans. Xset move into, now with 2 rounds in the lead, they've got themselves a streak.
They certainly have, and they need to win this map. Ideally, they need to win this map. If they lose this map, that's them completely out of the race. If they win this map, they can force it to that 3rd and final map and still be in a chance of winning. So the pressure's certainly on, and they're actually working really well under pressure. And again, that might be why we're seeing a lot of caution come through from them. They don't want to go for the immediate setup and execute. They want to take their time a bit. They want to see what they're working with. They want to try and whittle down the opposition a little bit more. Get 1 or 2 opening picks before they make their decision.
Ness throwing out the run it back. And Reigns are dropping as well. So it's like, Oxxgen Esports, it feels like they're feeling that pressure a little bit, committing in ults immediately, trying to hope for some sort of early advantage, but they're not finding it.
Absolutely, but it's a 5v4 right now, and it's still a lot of time to play with on both sides, and the rotation is coming through with the spike to A, but I think there's going to be a little bit of a call coming out there to the rest of Oxygen. Well, certainly now, and we're going to see the plant go down. It's a retake situation yet again for Oxygen, and they keep fluffing this slightly, so I want to see them get patient and cautious with it now. I want to see them do this more by the book instead of getting perhaps a little bit flustered.
Yeah, right now, Oxygen, they have gone off the book, and it's not working very well for them at all. Ness, though, is still an absolute powerhouse of a player. Grabs hold of one kill, but Oxygen just down to Giuliano in from the side. Scoots out and picks up kill number 4. Giuliano looking to build their own legend here today at Ness's expense.
Absolutely, like Giuliano's absolutely, look at that, 23 kills so far, and yeah, that is pretty good going. Again, it's this idea that you can divide the amount of kills by the amount of rounds you've had, and if that is above a positive number, that's usually a very good sign. And so far, they're on a 1.35 kills per round, which they have been putting in the absolute work. They have been getting that lunch. They have been getting that bread, and it's good. It's really good, especially because they, as I say, they need to win this. They need to force it to that final map. They don't want to lose out and be kicked out in the quarterfinals again, like they were last season. So good going to them, to be honest. And again, it's interesting because I love how impatient I am sometimes watching this, where I'm like, no, go for the setup immediately, go for the execute now, go. But they are being so like, dip your toe in the water, burn out some of the defender's utility, get a few opening picks, and then we'll go up for the setup. Then we'll collapse into sight. Then we'll get the spike planted. Yeah, it's really good going. Really good going. And you can see why Oxygen are kind of struggling a little bit now with dealing with that, because well, I mean, looking at this now, look, they're stacking up very much on the A side, and whilst, yes, I will say you only really need one person on that B site, it's again the utility that you choose to invest there that can really make or break how you hold that in the initial first minute or so. And I mean, so far, again, a lot of patience coming through from both sides, but I think maybe a little rotation needs to come out somewhere from one of them, and we need to see them be a bit more aggressive on the defensive side. I think that's what would favour them. Unironically, I think definitely if Oxygen were to get a little bit more aggressive now and catch them off guard, it would probably just unravel XZ, because when people are being that patient, it's usually because you're giving the room to be that patient. You're giving the room to dip their toe in and see what you're working with. If you just send someone in to make a really hyper-aggressive play, it will catch them off guard 9 times out of 10.
I mean, this is very much a dangerous round for XZ as Crazy gets taken out. Oxygen, they've come into this one with a massive ultimate advantage, nearly their entire squad bring their ultimates into this round, and equipment as well. So if there's a time for Oxygen to try and break this streak that XZ have set up, it's here and now on the B side.
Yeah, and but a retake is very difficult to do, but they do have the utility in pocket to do it, but also so do these attackers. We see Petra here burning out a lot of that utility to try and get that intel, to try and aid her team to keep this spike firmly planted and firmly in favour of XZ.
Amy and Petra getting kills each, but it's coming down to the wire. Ness is coming through. Petra, the Guardian at the gate against Ness. 1v1 time, and you don't want to get into a 1v1 with Ness.
You absolutely don't, and this is it, right? Okay, maybe what Oxygen need to do is... Let me consider this, actually. Maybe have 2B as it is, but one of them being Ness, and just have Ness kind of stampede through fish a little bit, like we've seen in previous rounds, but with the extra player there for the refrag and also the utility. So if Ness needs to pull back, they can pop something in order to allow her to safely come back a little bit. Although I say that, and look, they're not really going for any initial push towards B again, and it looks like there's more of a again, dipping your toe in it, keeping the spike firmly back, not really going for anything too spicy. Reaver, however, getting a nice little 2k there before being shot down.
Enemy remaining.
You will not
Giuliano
kill
is
my
now
ally.
off of the site because they're too busy being dead, but the B site is left open for a rush from Xset. So this is one of the best rounds for Oxxgen Esports for a while. They looks like they will have to still go for the retake though.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it is a 4v2, but if that spike goes down, it's going to be a lot trickier still. And there we are. The spike is being planted, so yes, they have the advantage of having 2 extra players here, but
Last player
if
standing.
they don't have the intel needed to work out where those players of exit are, and I mean, as I say that, obviously one of them is, of course, going to fall there. Zizu's going to get one of them, but can they clutch out the rest of it? No, they can't. They're going to get one and then shut down immediately by Philippa, who is going to go for the defuse there. I mean, realistically, it's again this idea where I'm like, I would say that was a very good clutch out, but in my opinion, Oxygen should not have let that plant go down.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly had, in every other respect, control over that round. Now Oxygen, having broken the streak of Xset once again, have put themselves back into a position where they can maybe catch up, maybe overtake Xset, and close out this quarterfinal with 2 straight games.
I want to see some high progressive play come through, and just to see if it would work more than anything. But I like the fact that they've got the Sova and Sage on B right now. As I say, that's a lot of utility that can be utilized if they do need to pull back. But I think they're slowly catching on to this idea that the push doesn't immediately come through. There's a lot of intel gathering coming through from Xset on their attack, and to be fair, that is fair play. The way that Xset have attacked this has been so good. You know, they haven't been trying to force anything too much. It's like baiting in a way, I suppose. It's seeing what you're working with before committing to anything, and it's a very safe way of playing. But of course, as I say, they're going to be safe when they need to win this map. They need to. Underlined several times with Red 10, they need to.
And we can see Xset, they are taking this round pretty cautiously, moving up through the mid, backing off again. As we can see, this B site is going to be hard to get onto, but keep your eye out for that jet. Giuliano is on the flank. Nesto with the operator, super deadly, but Petra gets the takedown. That's huge. Xset with the leverage advantage. Still going to have to break on the site itself. Felipe drops as well. Rita trying to hold off
Player standing.
at the end, and it's now down. No, nobody's left. That's a big win for Xset, and they move themselves into position to bring us to game 3.
Absolutely, and I'm happy for them, to be honest, and I'm happy that we are potentially going to, map 3, and it looks like we will be going to map 3. And I said at the start of this best of 3 that I am assuming with these 2 teams that we will end up on that 3rd map. Absolutely. They've put on a phenomenal performance here. And yeah, going to that 3rd map, it is going to get a little bit spicy. At the same time, given how cautious Xset have played here and how well it's worked for them, I think my main concern is that both teams are going to try and be too overly cautious, and we're going to see mistakes getting made because of that.
Opponent killed.
Tiso with a nice takedown to start us off for Oxxgen Esports. We need to see something special from them here if they're going to try and make the semi-final stages here and now.
And again, it's both teams. I was worried about this for the 3rd map, but now it's happening really in this round where everyone's being, I guess again, not overly cautious, but there is this aspect of
You should run.
let's not go for anything immediately from both the attack and the defense. I mean, if you're going to be holding that, and then, well, you can't hold fish like
What?
that. They are going to clean up. Ness
out
and
of my
Reaper
way.
both falling there to the players of Xset. It is now a 2v5, and again, Oxygen being left with that disadvantage of player count. The spike has gone down.
One enemy remaining.
Train hard.
Reigns are just taking their time to finish off the job there. Oxxgen Esports down to 2 members. And Giuliano does not hit with knives, so that means that this isn't completely a done deal. The plant has been made by Xset already. They can smell this third game coming. They've certainly worked their hardest to get to our final map of Icebox. But here comes what could be the final play.
The final play, indeed, the timer is ticking, and there we go. Trades coming through, but ultimately, Xset